Multi-award-winning author, Sinmisola Ogunyinka, holds a bachelor's in economics from Obafemi Awolowo University, Nigeria, an MFA in creative writing from Full Sail University, Florida, and is currently pursuing a Master of Liberal Arts at the University of Pennsylvania. Sinmi is the author of over 30 books, including Under a Red Delata Sun, Promise Tomorrow, Till Day Breaks, and many more. Sinmi lives with her family in Philadelphia, USA. Please welcome Sinmisola Ogunyinka to Writing to Inspire 2020, your next level.
Thank you very much. Thank you for that wonderful welcome. Thank you, Auntie Elsie. It's really a pleasure for me to be here today. And I'm so excited that this is happening because we don't have enough conferences for writers in Nigeria, especially Nigerian writers. Where I live, you could go to any writing conference every month if you wanted, Christian and secular. And it's amazing that Nigerians, I know Nigerians, we have so many people who are interested in writing, but there's just something that is lacking, and that's what I want to talk about today, and that is training. But before I go into that, I really want to appreciate God for this opportunity, and also Pastor Tokes. I call him Bro Tokes. We come such a long way. I've known him for over 20 years. Yeah, more than 25 years. You know, we were in choir together back on campus at OEU Ife. So, wonderful, great guy, very consistent. And I also I'm so happy to see faces that I know, just a few faces. Sister Tony Oladele, I'm so happy to see your face. And Auntie Elsie, I call her Auntie Elsie. We've known ourselves for like 6 years now, and it's been such a beautiful relationship, you know. And it's also something I've not seen amongst us Nigerians. Um, you know, that relationship, that professional relationship that just goes into everything we do together, you know, helping ourselves and, you know, holding up ourselves. And so I'm really grateful that this conference is on, and I hope many more like this will come up, you know, with time. And I also want to congratulate every member of the Scribal Hub for this opportunity you have. You belong to a great group of writers and artists and, you know, creatives. And so I hope you'll take good advantage. And if you're not a member, I think this is a good time to join. So today I'm going to be talking about something that I said is really, really a must for every serious writer, and that is training. Training to perfect your skill, your crafts, hone your crafts, and, you know, write well. I'm just today I was looking at my Twitter, and this group of people, I think they are just, I don't know who they really are, but I think they do reviews and things like that. And they said, who are the authors that you would not even read, you know, the summary of the book, you will not even blink an eye, you will not even look at the cover. Once you see a book is out, you will pick it. And I was really curious at the replies that they would get. And of course, there were Jeffrey Archers and all those names that don't sound Nigerian, one or two Nigerian names, which made me happy. But Chinua Achebe was one of those names, and I'm thinking that Chinua Achebe definitely wasn't a Christian fiction writer, you know. Fiction writer, Christian, I didn't see anything. And these are the things that, you know, we want to change. We want Nigerian Christian writers to write well, to be on an international platform where the books are accepted, not only because of a lot of marketing that we've done and spending a lot of money and breaking social media, but because the content is great. And so I'm going to talk to us about training today. And if you have questions, please, like Auntie Elsie said, start putting in your questions right there. Okay. Okay. So while I was training with, I trained with Jerry Jenkins, and I'm gonna talk a little bit about that. While I was training with Jerry Jenkins, he made some, he gave out some fantastic stats. Said 80% of writers get no formal training, and at that time he was saying it, I was one of those people. And 81% of people believe there's a book in them waiting to be written, and many don't know how to go about it. And another 30% of people who are earning a living are not happy. They want to write instead. And I think I, some points fell into each of these categories. And I'm wondering how many of us in this conference also fall into that category. Now, let me tell you a little bit about my story. I started like most Nigerian writers I know today with big dreams. I wanted to write great books, and I started to. In 2003, I self published my first book after poring over it for 5 years. And the book did very well in my circle, in my little circle of influence. People told me I was a very good writer. Fast forward to 2005, my older sister sent me a copied email of Jerry Jenkins, in an interview. We all know Jerry Jenkins. He wrote the Left Behind series that became one of the greatest books of or series of all times, because that the books did very well in the Christian market and also in the secular market, which is very rare for a Christian book, especially one talking about rapture, which a lot of unbelievers don't even believe in. But I read through that interview and I liked what he said. He talked about training people, about, he talked about, getting yourself on the cutting edge with your writing. Talent was not enough and all that. So I started pursuing him, and I discovered he had a Christian Writers Guild, and they did contests. And at this time, 2005, I was already writing. So I felt, you know what, let me enter this contest. The prize money was $20,000. It will be internationally published. I thought, this is a very good way for me to, get into my writing career, launch and become a big, rich writer and all that. And I started pursuing that. Unfortunately for me, I couldn't register for the contest because you had to be a member of the guild. And then I saw that, okay, to be a member of the guild, you are either registered to be a member or you join the training. So I said, let me join the training. I get trained, hear what they're saying, and then I can enter the contest. Well, fast forward another 5 years, 2010, because I couldn't send money overseas. Finally, I was able to get a GTB account that allowed me to pay, and I registered for the training. Now, the interesting and funny part is that they had three different levels. They had the apprentice course, which was for 2 years, the journeyman for 1 year, and craftsman for 1 year. And I felt, let me just go for the craftsman straight because I was such a good writer. Everybody said so. And but then by this time, you're feeling like you're so good, and I couldn't find Nigerian authors around me that caught my interest, that wrote as well as I did. So I started really, um, I started getting that burden to to be a trainer and to teach writing. So I said, since Jerry Jenkins has this apprentice course for beginners, let me go there first and just to learn how to teach people, not to learn it for myself because I felt I knew how to write. And believe me, I was in for a shock. At this time in 2010, remember I started writing in 2003. By 2010, I had 16 books already self-published. I had a lot of, well, success in my own little corner. You know, I was now known as a writer. And I started the apprentice course and discovered that I did not know how to write. Fine, I had talent, I had the stories, but I didn't have the technique. And it was so embarrassing for me that I went back to my 16 books and started editing them. Good for me, it was self-published, so I could, go back, rewrite. Some of them were in print and I couldn't recall them or do anything with them, but I was so embarrassed, selling those books because they were so badly written. And believe you me, since then, I have been so curious because, like many of us and like many Nigerian writers that I've been meeting, we don't see the importance in training. We just feel we can write or have a calling or something like that. But since then, I've been on a frenzy. Mine is a little different because I have a master's degree in creative writing now, and I'm doing a second master's degree with concentration in creative writing. And believe me, I am still learning. Now, the truth, which is a hard, tough truth, is that many Nigerian authors can't write. Many Christian authors cannot write. From the use of words to plotting to suspense building to research to editing, we are far behind. We are so far behind. But I have good news for you. For you to be in this conference today, you have taken steps in the right direction, and I'm excited for you. After I started learning, I also discovered there were other avenues to make money. Before then, I was just writing. I discovered that I could also edit because through my training, I was taught how to edit. And also, I could do ghostwriting because in my training, I was taught what it takes to be a ghostwriter. And that created for me other avenues of income. Writing, like any career, though many of us Nigerians and Christians see it as a hobby or a calling, is also a craft and it has to be learned. I can't imagine any of us in this conference at this time saying, I want to be a carpenter. I want to put furniture together. Oh, carpentry is just to carry wood and knock nails. That's not true. But many of us will feel, oh, I can speak English, I can write English. I even got an A in English in school, so I'm a good writer. But no, it is a craft. For the past 10 years, I have been learning how to write, and I'm still learning. And it is amazing how much needs to be learned. Writing has such a wide scope, and I haven't even covered it upon all my years. Think of fiction, nonfiction, poetry, screenplays. They all have different techniques. I specialize in fiction because this is my area of interest. But when I started the apprentice course, I was taught a little of everything. My creative writing MFA was in screenwriting. And currently my concentration in creative writing allows me to learn different styles of fiction writing. It is really mind-blowing, and I really must implore everyone listening to my voice to get trained. Don't just assume that you can write. Creative writing is not English. Can I say that again? Creative writing is not English or French or Spanish or, or Yoruba or Igbo or Hausa. You are not writing a language, you are crafting an experience. Most especially to write for an international audience, you need to understand how it is done. Many Nigerians confuse the use and spelling of words. What about the first draft and what to do with it? Your self editing. How hard on yourself should you be? I read somewhere that Ernest Hemingway, in editing his book, in writing his book, Arms and the Man, he edited the last page 39 times. You need to self edit. When you're giving your book to an editor to edit for you, you need to have done your own work. Don't just send a raw manuscript to somebody. They will charge you and overcharge you, and you will not be happy with yourself. I remember, um, but this is the highest I've ever done for any of my books. Frail Flesh. I remember editing that book, the whole book, 20 times. At some point, I started counting because I will finish reading to the end and I'll be like, no, this doesn't still sound right. I need to go through it again. And I told myself, this is punishment. I'm not going to do this to myself again for any book. But you still need to know how to self edit, what to cut. You create the words, but you also need sometimes to kill the words. Feedback is another thing, is another huge thing in our writing. We need to cherish feedback. When you finish writing your book, do you only have friends and family critique you? My daughters call it mommy lens, like mommy glasses. They said, no, mommy, tell us the truth. Don't put on your mommy lens. Your friends and families won't want to hurt you. They want to encourage you. Some are so excited about what you've written. Wow, you wrote this, and they don't see things that should be changed. So they put on the mommy lens and tell you only the good things. Like every serious profession, you also need a mentor as a writer. You need somebody who will encourage you, who will prop you, who will teach you, who will use their experiences, to push you forward in the right direction. Who do you read? What do you write? How do you decide what to write and who to write for? And these are some of the things that a trainer or a coach or a mentor will help you with. Recently, I've been very worried because I can't even get a good editor for my books because of my limited funds, and Circle and my limited funds, and Circle produces editors that I'm thinking I need to edit this book. The last book that I got an editor for, I couldn't even use what my editor did for me. And if you look at, you decide, I have a lot of editors. I go to an editor and he's charging me $700, $1,000, another. If he was a Nigerian editor, I'd probably pay half that price in Naira and I'll still get a good job. But we don't even have enough, of the good editors. My friend the other day was telling me about an editor that she got, and the person was charging her almost 400,000 Naira. And I said, wow, wow, it's getting expensive, But if we have a lot of more Christian editors, Christian writers, we have a pool of people that will be able to be more competitive. You could actually, do something really good. And for many of us writers that are complaining that we're not making money from our writing, editing is a very good way to make money and to make a living. And we can also create a community of friends who are also professional critics, who give you constructive feedback, who help you to brainstorm and help you to grow for no cost at all. But then if all your writing friends are not trained and you are the only one that is trained, whatever they're going to bring to you, I'm telling you, it's not going to be good enough for you. So we need to really, think about this seriously to get trained. The truth is that many people find it difficult to take a hard truth. And I'm going to talk a little bit about, getting feedback because that is so important. When I started being trained by Jerry Jenkins, he had something called thick-skinned critique. If Jerry Jenkins critiques your first page, he did it for only one page. He will just say, send me your first page. Sometimes maybe what will be left on your first page will be 2 lines. But he called it thick-skinned critique. Last Tuesday, I was with my English professor and she told me that my CV was one of the worst she had ever seen, because there's a way to write a writer's CV. And I didn't know how to do that. I just wrote it like a general CV, looking for a job. I'm currently looking for a job as a university professor, And she said, no, you don't write a writer's CV like this. But she also added that she couldn't tell many people the truth the way she could tell me, because anytime she gives me feedback, I'm so excited. I mean, even telling me my CV was one of the worst, I laughed and told her, wow, thank you. I'm so happy that I finally know the reason why I wasn't getting any responses, But even she said she couldn't tell a lot of people this, because people see hard truth as criticism and not critique. There's a difference. Every writer needs constructive critique so they can improve. Believe me, your readers are brutal and they are unfair. You go on Amazon and see some reviews, even of best-selling authors. You have spent the last 2 years working on a book. Someone picks it up and spends 5 minutes to read the first chapter or your first page. They drop your book and go online and give you a 1-star review. Worse still, they may just go to their social media and lambast you. They don't care to know how long and hard you worked on that book. This is why you need to be trained, to be prepared, to know that at least you are putting out the best and there's nothing lacking. And people will still, excuse me, people will still critique you anyway, but you know that you're giving your best so far. So when you present your work to the world, you are ready to face anything, and you are sure also to get some good accolades. Imagine me after the first few months of my training, and I saw how so unlearned I was. Writing English wasn't enough to win a writing contest. In fact, I decided I can't even enter any contest. Besides the fact that I knew I was not good enough, I realized that even after I got some training and I could beat my chest that, yes, I know how to do this now, there were still so many good writers out there who were being trained. So the competition is even tougher. So even after you get trained, you still need to compete with good people. So now imagine if you are not trained, you don't even have a chance at all. It showed me that if I did not constantly hone my skills through training and feedback, I would be left behind. And I have to constantly put myself out there and be ready to face failures and rejections, harsh reviews from readers, but knowing that I know my craft, I'll keep giving. If you want to reach a wider audience, enjoy global followership, you must write what is good. Talent is not enough. You need technique. Permit me to bore you a little bit with my own training experience. I said I've been training for the past 10 years. I started in 2010. I have spent a lot of money getting trained. Not once throughout my training have I gotten free training. In 2013, specifically, was such a tough year for me. From March to February, while I was doing my craftsman course with Jerry Jenkins, I spent 50,000 naira every month. That was what GTB took out of my account every month for my craftsman program. The whole program cost me $3,500, and I opted for monthly payments. And the equivalent of that in naira of 50,000 naira. And it wasn't my first course with Christian Writers Guild, though it was the last. But then it also did not include the retreat I had to travel for. I was living in Calabar at the time. I was living in Abuja at the time, sorry. And we had a retreat, a 4-day retreat in the United States. I had to pay my transport to get there. And I had to pay for my hotel and everything. In fact, it was so funny. One of those days, there were 12 of us in that retreat. And some of the ladies were like, let's go. It was a town that everybody came into that town. It was Jerry Jenkins town, Colorado Springs. That's where he is, you know. And everybody flew in for that conference. And some of the ladies were like, let's go out and let's go, see what's going on and everything. And I didn't have a dime. So I just told them I was too tired, to join them. But, this is a passion for me. And I know many Nigerian writers may not be able to afford what I've paid for. And that's why I'm so excited that we have this kind of conference. And I am training people as well. And I'm doing it, I know it's not likely, if I decide to calculate how much I've spent on training, probably it will take the rest of my life to recover my money. But that's not what is important. What is important is that we need to be trained. Like that thing that I saw on Twitter, who's your go-to person? I'm still looking for a Nigerian Christian author that I can say I want to consume voraciously. And I'm not thinking of Francine Rivers or Frank Peretti or the way I used to consume M&B when I was much younger, and I would steal people's M&B and go and hide and read, and Sandra Brown and John Grisham. I want to hear Nigerian names that I could grab and read. Now, I know there are some very, very good Nigerian authors, and some of them are also Christian. But can't we have like a wide choice? I'm a very picky reader. I like romance most of the time, romantic suspense. Where are the writers who are giving these African stories, Christian stories that are very good? Let me say this. It's true that they say it is called best-selling and not best written for a purpose. But Jerry Jenkins said something while I was learning under him. He said, the saddest thing for a writer is to be a best-selling author for his first book and not sell anything for his second. The first chapter of your book will make your reader finish your book, but the last chapter is what will make them buy your next book. Imagine what happens if they bought the book and made you best-selling, but could not finish it or decided not to buy the next one because it wasn't a good book, because it wasn't properly written. All this starts from being trained. I don't want you to be shy about anything. Contact me. I am ready to help. Believe me, I do a lot of free stuff, and it's not because I'm a very rich person. I'm not yet a very rich author, but I am very excited about helping. And I'm going to share my screen briefly before we take questions. I want to show you a picture of me with Jerry Jenkins. 1 second. Yeah, there it is. Okay. So that's me right there with Jerry when we went for the retreat. And it's the only picture I have with him. It's so painful. I'm like, what happened to you? I was with him for 4 days. This is one of the greatest Christian authors in life, But the Bible also says that sees a man diligent in his ways, he will not only stand before, he will stand before kings and not just mere men. Let me tell you a little story about my relocation to the United States. In 2016, we were having a lot of problems living in South Africa. We couldn't renew our papers. We were even out of status. And we decided to go back home to Nigeria. But then we had kids in school. These children had been up and down, So my husband and I decided, to pray. I was burnt out anyway. I wasn't really praying a lot. But we decided as a family, that we were going to move to the United States. And we started thinking about the options. How do we get our papers and all that? And we just, somebody said, oh, you need to get, since he's a pastor, you can get a religious visa and all that and all that. So we started talking about that, talking to people. And one of his friends, a pastor, told him, your wife is a writer. Why don't you apply through special skill for the writing? I was like, what writing? As at that time, I didn't have any awards for my writing. I didn't have money from the writing, but I knew my writing was good. So he got us a lawyer. He introduced a lawyer to us. The lawyer went to Google my name and saw that I'd written so much and was like, wow, she even bought some of the books. And she was like, wow, yeah, this can fly. Can you believe that 8 months after we applied, we got our green card, father, mother, and 4 children. Green card. Even she was like, whoa. When we went, we came in the year Trump was sworn in. So Trump does not like immigrants, as we all know. So when we came in, prior to that time, you don't do interview for special skills. But Trump decided that anybody coming in with special skill must be interviewed. Even our lawyer said she had been doing these visas for over 20 years. She had never heard anybody go for interview. She didn't even know how to prepare us. So we said, yeah, we'll go. When we got to the immigration office, my file was so thick, there were like 4 of my books in their file at USCIS office. And the guy just asked questions. Have you done drugs? Have you killed anybody? Do you plan to kill anybody? Those funny questions. And then just said, congratulations, your visa, your green card has been granted. It was like a dream. People told me yours is a different case. But do you know one thing? And I want to say this, that part of the people I met during my training helped. Because I sent an email to Jerry Jenkins and told him, I'm applying for permanent residence in America. Can you give me a recommendation? And he did. My mentor is also a best-selling author. She sent like a page. Jerry Jenkins just wrote like 2 sentences. Anyway, it worked anyway, But the truth is that, like the Bible says, if you want to stand before kings, you need to work on your craft. You need to write things that people will want to read and people will want to give you awards for. People will want to identify with you. And for our writing community in Nigeria, you also need to help us. We need to build a stronger base. Nigerians read. They say Nigerians don't read. Nigerians read, but Nigerians just don't read Nigerian authors. They read the Jerry Jenkins, they read Francine Rivers, they read John Grisham, they read Jeffrey Archer. They don't read us. So we need to hone our skills and get better. And God will help us and bless us in Jesus' name. And I'm going to stop sharing my screen now and we can take questions. Thank you very much once again for having me.
Tell me that you are not feeling the anointing and I will tell you the color of your life. Ooh, wow. Did you feel that? Did you feel that? Did you hear that? Wow, 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 wow. Okay, now I'm going to confess. Did you hear what she said? She edited one book 20 times, okay? I have in front of me a book that I read and read and read, and it's a very tiny book. And I was fed up. Somebody else read, we went through, we're fed up. And the book has been selling, and everybody has been telling me it is a very good book. Oh, it's so interesting. I laughed. I did. This afternoon, I had a visitor. The person came. I was autographing a copy of the book for the person. And what did I see? One chapter after the other, same title. My book, yes, my book designer had made a mistake. So chapter 4 and chapter 5 have the same title. That's not what is in the manuscript, but it's there in the front. And I put my hands on my head. I'm like, oh God, how am I going to recall this book? So, see, Sister Simi, you have dropped a bombshell. No, several bombshells. You have, it's a blitzkrieg. You have, they say you have scattered the table. This one, you have removed all the furniture from the house so that we can start furnishing all over again. Please, okay, I can see the questions coming. Which training do you offer or hold for writers, and how can one be a part of it? Okay, there are plenty trainings. Sister Simi is a trainer. The first time she trained me was in 2014. And when she left, I was like, oh, I thought I knew how to write. Now I'm totally confused. I don't even know where to start. At that time, I had one book out. And I looked at the book. I'm like, I'm really ashamed of this thing now. And for a long time, I couldn't write anything. I kept going back to her notes. And I was like, but I don't understand. Where do I start from? I don't even know. And so, you know, something I started doing at that time, I did that training. After that, immediately after that, I couldn't afford another of her trainings, but I started getting her books. Okay, so I started reading her books. That book she talked about, Frail Flesh, if I stand up from here, it's like about 3 or 4 steps away from me. Everybody in my house has read that book. We have read it. The title is Frail Flesh, but the pages are not falling apart. I don't know why, because we have read it enough for the flesh to be totally frail. So I would read her books and read and read. My aim was to understand how she was writing, but I would get so carried away, I would forget why I started and just enjoy the story. And like Sister Simi said, personally, there is no year that I do not go for at least 2 or 3 trainings in writing. You can't see. Right now, I'm registered in one of her trainings. And when she sent me the first lesson, I was like, okay, yeah, we can do this. The second one, I'm like, no, I'm not doing this. Who sent me? This is too hard. I don't know how to write. What is this? What is going on? Seriously, we cannot underscore. See, you can't train enough. She has 2 MFAs. She has 2 masters in writing degrees. Yesterday, we had somebody who had PhD in English. English is not writing. Writing is not English. Writing is a craft. You must be trained in it. I don't know how many people want somebody who has a passion for cars to work on their Mercedes-Benz, because I say, oh, I'm passionate about cars. Your engine, there's something wrong. And then you say, oh, okay, yeah, I have passion. Okay, you have passion for cars. Yeah, come and work on my car. Please, we need to respect our craft. Okay, so Pastor Simi, so many people are asking, which training do you hold? How do we access training? Any recommendations for some good, not too expensive trainings we can access? Okay, I don't know about not too expensive, because training is expensive. How do we access training? Any recommendations? What are the techniques to be adopted in order to write a very good book? And what So, okay, so people are asking training. Would you want to take that first?
Yeah, let me talk about training. I don't know how, I mean, I've been to somebody else's training website and I saw what they're charging. She's a Nigerian author, but I've not looked at the curriculum or anything, but I was seeing things like $3,000 and I'm like, They're Nigerian. She doesn't live in Nigeria anyway, but I mean, for me personally, let me speak for myself. I'm seeing this as a calling. So I do train people. I have one free training. It's the basic. You know, if you want to just know the basics of writing, your starting point, my training is free and it's for 3 months. Then I have other ones for fiction, and the fiction, I'm actually a fiction writer. So my specialization is in fiction. So if you want to write fiction, I would recommend that you go for my fiction courses, and they are not free. Okay. But if you just want to write non-fiction, you can come and register for the free training. I'm about rounding up now for one set, but I'll soon, I think we can put in you can send me an email, or contact me on Facebook. I read my messages. I may not pick up calls because my phone is always on silent. So if the phone is not in my hand, I won't pick up the call, but otherwise, if you send me a message, or if you go through Pastor Talks and go through the Scribal Hub, I have some students who are from the Scribal Hub at the moment for the free training. Your own is not free.
My own is not free, but I'm your permanent student. Free, expensive, cheap, whatever. I am following my leader.
Thank you. So I have some training, but I've not really gone into what other Nigerians are doing as per training. But I know Jerry Jenkins is also still training. But then I think you have to, he's doing it in a different way now. You need to be a member
of the guild. Yes.
And then I think that is like $400 per year to be a member. And then you can now register for the different trainings. And I think he also has some free trainings, but then you have to be a member of the guild.
Yeah, it's about $50 a month now.
Oh, it's gone up.
Yeah.
He started at like 400 or 450 for the whole year. But that training is a platform on its own. If you can afford it, I tell people go for it, because he's the best-selling author. He's internationally recognized. So he has something that we all don't have. Yeah.
Okay. But let me give you advice per this conference. Don't start with Jerry Jenkins. Start with Sister Simi. And I know what I'm saying, okay? I've done Jerry Jenkins. I'm still enrolled with Jerry Jenkins. I'm enrolled with Pleasant Writers Guild. That's Sister Sinmisola's company, okay? I'm currently doing one of her 6-month trainings. God will help me. I will finish in 6 months, and then I will enroll for the next one. I know. I finished the exams yesterday. Please.
I understand. It's okay.
All right. That's our private chat. Please, you guys ignore us. All right. So please, I will advise you, start with Sister Do Advanced. The reason I say that is if you do not have a foundation and you go straight to Jerry Jenkins, you could get discouraged, because really that manuscript critique, that thick-skinned critique, even if it doesn't touch your manuscript, if it does for another person, you would go and find another calling. You would just say, no, I thought I was called to be a writer, a scribe. I didn't know that my calling is in music ministry. So and then Sister Simi understands where we're coming from as Africans. She understands our language, our peculiarities. So start from this. Okay, someone is asking if Pleasant Writers Guild is on Facebook. I know the website, I don't know, but Sister Simi is on. She's on Facebook. She's very active on Facebook. You can reach her. You can actually reach her through the hub too. You can talk to any of the admins on the hub. They know how you can reach her. And there are trainings that we are running on the hub all the time. Some of them free, some of them paid. And sometimes you get into one of these free trainings and they direct you to where you can get another kind of training. All right, somebody asked, how do we access or register for the free training? I think she already answered that. You can reach her on Facebook. Okay.
Just type in my name. You can Google me. You see me on LinkedIn, Facebook. Those are the two that I really respond to most, but I'm also on Instagram. I'm on everything. I'm on Twitter. I mean, I respond, but Facebook and WhatsApp are the closest to my heart.